Joining me right now from Capitol Hill is Senate Judiciary Committee member, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, it is good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. It's great to be with you.
First, let's get your reaction to yesterday's proceedings. Cory Booker said, bring it on. I'm willing to, jeopardize my standing in the Senate because I want truth and I want these documents released. And then we find out hours later they were already released. Was that just a stunt, Senator?
Well, that's exactly what it was. That was 2020 presidential politics. I will say the Judiciary Committee is fairly amusing because you've got Cory Booker and Kamala Harris. They sit both right next to each other as the two most junior Democrats. And watching both of them battle for the 2020 Democratic nomination is a daily occurrence, but especially during the Kavanaugh hearings, that they were falling all over each other to see who could be more theatrical, who could be more outrageous, and who could attract the attention of the extreme left-wing base that they're both courting for the 2020 presidential election.
So how is this going to play out, Senator? I mean, you've got all of this theatrics. Do you think the people understand? Do you think voters will react to this in November? I mean, people want to see things get done, Senator.
Yes. People care about substance. So when I'm home in Texas, what I hear from Texans is that they're thrilled with the tax cuts. The economic growth we're seeing is incredible. They have more money in their pockets for their families. Texans are thrilled that job-killing regulations have been pulled back. That means the energy sector is booming, oil and gas. That means farmers and ranchers find it much easier to make ends meet. Texans are thrilled that we came together and repealed the Obamacare individual mandate. And Texans are thrilled with the judges that have been confirmed, with Neil Gorsuch, and we're fixing to confirm Brett Kavanaugh. And, this week, we're starting today, day 4 of the Kavanaugh hearings. This will be the last day. And the Democrats have thrown every punch they got. They haven't managed to lay even a single glove on him. What they have had is an orchestrated effort with protesters screaming and hollering and disrupting the proceedings. I think the first day, 70 people were arrested. It was about every minute it seemed someone jumped up and began hollering. That, as I understand it, it's been reported, that was directly coordinated with the Democratic senators. I think that's what their extreme left-wing base demands. But I don't think that's what the American people want. The American people want justices on the Supreme Court who are going to be faithful to the Constitution, who are going to protect the Bill of Rights, protect our free speech, our religious liberty, our Second Amendment. And I think confirming Brett Kavanaugh continues with that ongoing commitment, and it's a major, major victory for the American people.
So you think you'll have the votes to actually confirm him to the Supreme Court then?
I am confident that we will have the votes, that Brett Kavanaugh will be confirmed, that Judge Kavanaugh will become Justice Kavanaugh. Right. The timing, the markup is scheduled next week in committee. The Democrats, under the rules, can delay it for a week. They will do that. Once we vote it out of committee, it'll go to the floor, and I expect that Judge Kavanaugh will be confirmed and sitting on the court by early October.
Senator, let me ask you about budget issues, because we are looking at a potential shutdown of the government. The Congress has until October 1 to pass new spending legislation or a stopgap funding bill to keep the government open or risk a shutdown. The president said he will allow the government to shut down if the funding for the border wall is not included. Will you fund the border?
Well, that's going to come down to the Democrats. All of these funding bills take the agreement of at least 9 Democrats in the Senate. I hope we don't see a shutdown. I do think there's a real chance that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats will decide a shutdown is in their interest politically. That being said, I think it is critically important to fund a border wall and to do it now. I think there's a better way to get it done than having a shutdown fight. And I've made this case directly to the president. I've made this to my colleagues. We have a number of tools available to us in the Senate that get around filibusters. The most powerful of those tools is what's called budget reconciliation. Now, as you know, Maria, we used budget reconciliation last year to pass the tax cut. What I am urging my colleagues to do is let's take up another budget reconciliation either in September or October and let's include within that full funding for the wall. The Democrats will scream or yell, they'll light their hair on fire, just like they're doing with Kavanaugh. But at the end of the day, we only need 50 votes. If we hold our conference together, we could head into Election Day having delivered on one of the central promises of the last election, which is to finally build the wall and to make real progress in securing our border.
So do you think that will happen? Do you think you will be able to build the wall? The president wants this. He wants the money to do so. You're on board?
I am absolutely on board with building the wall. I think we can. I don't know if we will take up another budget reconciliation. That's something that is being actively discussed within the Republican conference. I will say one of the things that has changed the math somewhat is with John Kyle being sworn in as a new senator, it is now easier for us to get 50. Because when John McCain was ill and at home, he wasn't here to vote. So it made the math much tighter. Even one senator jumping ship could take it down. Now with John Kyle as an active serving senator, we can lose one Republican. That gives us more margin for error. And I think the case to take up budget reconciliation, what I'd like to see us do is build the wall, but also on Obamacare. End the employer mandate, expand health savings accounts, let people use health savings accounts to pay for premiums, which would lower the premiums for many people 20 to 30%, and also codify some of the big regulatory reforms that have been done to lower premiums, things like association health plans and short-term limited duration plans, put those into law. And then finally, Maria, I think what would have a really big impact and legacy, I think we should take up and pass what's called the REINS Act. The REINS Act says any economic regulation that has $100 million or more of impact cannot go into effect without an affirmative up-down vote from Congress. It would be, in terms of legacy, it'd be as big as the tax cut. And I believe we can hold 50 Republicans and get it done if we're simply willing to take it up. The House has passed it twice. The Democrats always filibuster it. If we use reconciliation, that's a way to get around the Democratic filibuster.